What up, everybody? We are now live. I believe we are. So we're just gonna go right into it. Hi, everybody. This is Gary Lamb bringing relevant content on life, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. And today we are discussing some damaging news to the Black community and how our relationships are so. How can I say it? They're difficult to be, to say the least. And I want to discuss how we can make a little. What's up, Mattis? How you doing, brother? What's going on? I know you frustrated and doing all that. You just, as I know, it sucks. It really does suck. But let's go ahead and get right into it. So, what's going on in our communities? What occurred? Because when you base this off of what Shahrazad Ali had said way back then, and how we're dealing with this kind of stuff now, what's going on?
The system itself is still broken. People aren't trying to fix it. People are not trying to take accountability for their actions to move
Mhm.
forward. Is realistically what's happening. People are going to keep living the same cycle over and over again until people go in and start fixing it.
Hmm. So how are we gonna fix this?
I was about to say, oh, Gary got that Gary Lamb
Because listen,
glare going.
yeah. So how are we gonna fix this? Like we're looking at the stats and we're looking at things that's going on, and that's why I was like, listen, what type of things are going on, and we're going to research a lot of this stuff and continue going when it comes down to it. Not trying to fix it, or are we not trying to fix, or are we I mass number embracing it?
I'm gonna say that I is probably in. Maybe
Hmm?
autocorrect kind of didn't flag it correctly, but probably not trying to fix it, or are we in mass numbers embracing it? Which,
Oh, okay, that's a good question.
yeah, I'm like, that may be the case too. You do have people raising strong families, but
Hmm.
if you're noticing with the numbers, it's not skewed like that. It's only really showing the numbers of the broken homes and not the ones of the people that are actually putting the time, the effort, trying to raise responsible little humans to become
Hmm.
responsible human beings in general.
I
Right.
think that um, is because we're the minority now within that. There's like 70 to 80% in our community where it's basically all single mother households, single parent households. And the few that are, or the smaller majority that are, it's not prevalent. It's almost like we're aliens compared to the majority. I mean,
Correct.
conversations like this help, but it's not
But
prevalent.
but think about it though. Why is that the standard? Why is that the acceptable thing to do? It's the acceptable thing to do because one, yes, there are benefits for people staying single. Two, when you start looking at the two-parent income households, guess what? On a governmental level, you don't win. You don't get help financially when it comes to education. You don't get help when it comes to housing. You unless you're bringing in the bare minimum. A lot of times, even if you're making minimum wage, both parents, that's over the bare minimum, and it's hard. And then it's like, hey, even in the event where you're talking, what is it? I think in most states, you have poverty line is usually anything under $25,000 for a family of four.
Hmm. Hmm.
Who's really living out of $25,000 in a family of four? You can barely afford a two-bedroom apartment on a $25,000 a year salary.
Right.
When the average one bedroom in most states is over $1,000. So I'm like, it's a catch 22. It's like, yes, we want people to do better. Of course, we want families to stick together. We want to, foster that relationship. But it's like on one end, if you're fostering it, that means either income level has to be higher, That
Right.
means if you're somebody who's dependent on government assistance, you need to either figure out how does that continue once you bring the family together. Because in my book, I feel like you incentivize the single people and you I don't know what I don't have the opposite term of of incentivizing. So I'm gonna say you don't incentivize anybody else.
Hmm.
You don't want to incentivize them because it's like, hey, if you're out there in the workforce, you should be making a living wage. That's not usually the case all over the world.
Me too.
Certain states' income, for basic necessities is higher than others, but it's not across the board for every place.
They make it a huge deal that the incentive is, well, in our community, have people saying, stop saying black. I mean, brown, what, where you get it for the sake of conversation. But in our community, it's an incentive almost. I mean, it's given such accolades almost at this point for single mothers to have the baby daddy, even to have the baby daddy and have him over there. Y'all could be together, but don't put him on none of your paperwork. Like, it's a known thing and encourage. So, like you said, it is incentivized because otherwise, the rest of us, like, work, you have a family, we all make it happen as best we can. But like you said, to most people, what's the incentive now to have the nuclear family? What's the incentive for them to stay together and raise the children and all of that? But if we look around, all the crime, all the mess, the school system, our neighborhoods, it is getting worse. And the incentive is to stop that so it doesn't get worse than it is. That is the incentive.
Which, and like I said, I get. But then on the flip side is, it's can you really live off of these programs? You really can't do that either, though. The program, think about it. The programs that are around, it's what? Food assistance. They're not giving you 100% of the food for the month. They're giving you what? 2/3 of what the family should have for the month. That means even with the housing, when you start looking at the public housing vouchers, think about what they're offering. A lot of times it's not the best of places. One. Two, then you have to start looking at, okay, if it's not the best of places, then that means the school district probably isn't the greatest place either. And then you have to start trickling down to the neighborhood. And I'm not saying all of the neighborhoods are bad, but you have to look at what the alternative is. If you're in a lower income area, that means you don't have all of the other resources that the kids in other school districts would have. You start looking at, the school ratings. Unfortunately, those kind of areas, if you have people that are using these programs, that means they're not homeowners. That means those homeowners are not going to the school board elections. That means they're not the ones in the areas trying to go, hey, the school needs a new pool and a tennis court and blah, 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 blah. Because guess what? The parents are not going to be there because they're not the homeowners, so they're not making the rules for that kind of stuff. This one says this gives just enough to justify lazy. A lot of
What do you
times,
think about that? Because listen, me and my boy Hood be talking about this a lot. All right. So me and Mala Justin talked about this a tremendous amount too, about how there's no incentive to get off your butt. You just know, you if you don't possess the drive, they don't really give you an oomph to do nothing. Right. It's just like, all right, just do what you want to do. And those are just going to be people out there. I don't think you're going to ever be able to stop that. There are people that's going to just say, I give up. And
correct.
do we
Which, and
want them to
I
be on the street?
wholeheartedly agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
But you also have the opposite too. You have the ones where they're like, hey, I get up and go to work and I can't afford childcare.
Yes.
So what's the difference of me staying home than me getting up and going to work? You have people, think about it. You have people that aren't able to survive. Think about it. Car costs, even the cheapest car, what, $200, $300 a month?
Yeah.
Think about it. The car insurance on that car probably going to be another $200 to $300 a month. That's
Yeah.
600 off the bat. And then you got to
Yeah.
throw in childcare, which could be
Yeah.
anywhere from 200 to 600 a week.
You're talking to the choir. Oh my
Correct.
God.
But and that's what I was gonna say. Those things all add up too. So a lot of times
Yes.
I don't always think it's a laziness factor. I feel like it's a budgeting issue. I feel like if my income coming into my household is not enough for me to barely scrape by, then what's my alternative?
Yo,
My
hit that like
alternative
button,
is to stay.
everybody. Hit that like button. 'Cause
That's the truth.
this is good stuff right here. Continue. Go ahead.
Because when you look around, oh, sorry, no, go ahead, Ariel.
No, go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you that if we look around and we see, okay, what is the incentive? You go to work for the regular working class person, okay, not the one say they don't have a degree, they didn't go to school, working class. With that, it's you looking at the mic.
I'm sorry. Is the mic the mic is green, right?
It's green.
Yeah. Because you keep hitting the button on the
No,
phone.
no,
On the
no.
phone.
Oh,
No, the phone. Don't worry about the
oh, so
phone.
one of us, sorry, y'all. So one of us got to mute ourselves because I hear you.
Yeah, I can make myself.
Or I don't know. But what I was saying is you look, that's why people think that it's systemic, because for most, everyone's pretty much working class entry level, unless that's your field of expertise. So you figure, what are you making a year? 18,000, 20,000 as entry level, 22, 23 if you're pushing it for most people that are entry level. If you have a family of 4+, most people would incentivize social service and all these other programs, because killing yourself is doing what with your salary? Depending on where you live in the country, y'all barely ate. So it's like, and if they tell the mother who's with the guy, they go together, they're dating, but they're not married. Hey, you can get more if you don't put him on your paperwork, especially if you're from a low income community or if you're a minority. The incentive is, oh, do this for what? So many feel that way. Yeah, so.
But then the realization is when you think about poverty line, like I said, or I'm still on that for 4 people in a household. You talking as a mother and 3 kids, or the mother, the father, and 2 kids. Who is really living out of $2,300 a month?
Yep.
And that's gross. That's not even your take home. You can't afford anything else. So that's what I'm saying. It's a catch-22. It's like, okay, you want people working, hands down. You want the families to be there, hands down. But when does that,
I saw that too,
that pendulum swing from one way to the other? I
Well,
feel
wait a
like,
minute. Look at this question here.
okay, so I'm not saying that's always the case. In my head, I'm saying a family of 4, not 4 kids. But
not
that
4.
does
Oh,
happen.
you're talking about
Family
together.
of 4.
You're talking about together.
Yeah, I was
2
talking
kids,
family of 4. 2
wife,
kids,
husband.
1 husband, 1 wife.
Perfect. Now we getting back to it. Because when you said that, I was like, "Oh, he
No,
got him."
I automatically thought.
I thought you were talking about somebody else. I know
husband,
y'all were
wife,
talking
2
about
kids.
us. I thought I was like, oh shit. Why would they have 4 kids? And I think that's where he's going. He's thinking about the single mother aspect of it.
But
You're
think
talking about
it.
this.
But even if it is the single mother, think about it. If you poor or you're under the poverty line, what are you really doing? You're trying to figure out how.
Are we on point with that, Bert? I just want to make sure, because I don't want to throw your question off. I just want to know exactly how you feel about it. I'm just assuming right now.
Art.
So let us know. But continue,
So Gary,
Erica.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. Think about it though. Even if the situation is what Bert is saying, 1 single woman and 4 kids, you have that scenario every day of the week.
Yes, you do.
There are people out there, and sometimes it's not by default. You're talking. Sometimes they want a whole village. They want that whole family of 4. But is this like? And think about it. When you start thinking of 4 kids and that 1 wife, I'm gonna pull up some numbers for you. That
Oh,
amount,
I knew she was gonna be ready. I was like, she's gonna have the numbers ready to rock because what she's saying is factual evidence, is on point,
well,
is
because
hidden.
y'all know
You know
I'm
what I'm saying?
research queen. I'm gonna look up this kind of stuff because in my head I have to quantify where you gonna make out at. So that
Hmm.
only difference is if it's that one woman. How about the gross is only 2,700 a month? Think
For
about it.
4 kids?
With the 4 kids and her, $2,700 is the maximum you can make to get assistance. The maximum. So if
Can
you
you
make
survive off that?
no, most people can't because, like I said, these are gross numbers that the states are looking at for you to get assistance. So between 23 and 2,700 a month.
Wow.
Like it really
Wow.
doesn't make sense sometimes
So
for
if you
the
don't have a
assistance.
talent, you done.
Correct. Or if
You
you don't,
done. You can't
or
get
if
out.
you're
Like how
barely working.
you can't finance your way out. You know what I'm saying? You can't finance your way out. You know what I'm saying? You can't get out.
But that's the problem, though. A lot of times it's not just generational. It's
Yeah.
something happens every day of the week. I go to work
Michael
tomorrow,
Connor.
I could get laid off. So now
Yeah.
I could be that statistic.
Yeah.
Am I going to have the drive to get up and try to figure out how I'm going to make more than whatever unemployment is going to pay me for that weekly money? Of course, because in most states, your unemployment can be 50% of your pay, and others, you can have a max of $250 a week. What do you,
Matters got a point though. If you on Section 8, you know what I'm saying, you can possibly make that work.
Section
Nobody's
8
saying it's
numbers
gonna
is
be easy.
Section 8 numbers is different though. I'm looking at the state benefit stuff, not looking at the TANF and all of those because they got other guidelines too.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
those
their
are different
guidelines
requirements.
are even lower than that 2,700 for that
Yeah.
family for that one mother with the 4 kids.
Can you bring up Michael Connor's comment?
Which one?
He says, if you are single, why are you having sex?
Ooh.
Because this generation
Ooh. Wait a minute. That's a
utilizes that
damn good question.
for
Oh.
recreational use. And I'm not going to say in my early years, I wasn't out there too. I was selective when I was out there, but the minute you say tell people don't have sex, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to have
Yeah.
even more sex. So
See,
my
this is my
thing is
thing.
be
Yeah.
responsible when you have it.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
That right there is the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that's what you're going to do, I mean, I could bring in the other cultures, how they handle their young women and their young men, from gypsies to Jewish to Islam to Indian to different Middle Eastern countries, even here, the Amish, different ones in Utah and the FDLS. Don't get me started. They keep their kids a certain way. They treat them, train them, and taught them a certain way. There's certain expectations of them that's not even on the table. So if it's on the table for you, then why not help your children and help the rest of us? If that's what you're gonna do, if you out here living your best life, then 3 kids later, we shouldn't still be having this conversation,
But
which we
also
had at
correct.
length.
But also 3 years, them 3 kids later, you should have at that point figured out how do I support them? Because that's the other thing. I have no problem with these programs. The problem that I have is you have people on these programs who make it a career of these programs. I feel like these
Exactly.
programs should be there to help in need, and then progressively you should be getting off and getting on your feet. You just you don't always have that for everybody. And because you don't
That
have that
doesn't
for
work,
everybody,
Michael
that is
say.
the problem.
Hold on. Well, what do you think about that? Michael say that don't work.
What
Which part
specifically
which
telling
part
her to?
specifically don't work?
Yeah, what part?
Because I
Well,
don't
I don't
know
know that
which
part.
No,
part
I
is
asking
assume
him,
on
my
that.
Michael.
part that he was talking about because you know what, Michael, clarify that because we don't know exactly what part you're talking about. But let's move on.
So, but like I said, I'm one of those people. Something happens, yes, you done worked from 15 all the way to you were 30, and something happened. Think about it. When people look for a job, it takes them on average 3 to 6 months to get a new one.
I know
And
that.
those facts come from career builders and all of them. I googled about 6 or 7 of them just to see what the average was for when someone became unemployed. Why? Because when I became unemployed last year, I was on the hunt with the degree and all, trying to figure out how am I going to get the same kind of money back in my house or more.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you,
So,
Bart.
and I also knew I'm a 2-income household. There was no
Right.
benefits coming in other than unemployment at the time. So
And this is the point. They're telling women, leave it just your paperwork. Don't put him on there.
correct.
To them, he's not there.
But I get that though. But my thing is, I don't want the single family. I want more and more people getting married. I want them to have
I want
the
more people.
married
Exactly.
benefits.
Right. Like,
So if you're
but here's
giving
the thing.
incentive to be married, that would a lot of people would
That's
start
the
switching
point.
their mindset
But-
from that single mentality.
But Erica, they make it a battlefield, right? They make it such a way, like once you guys start arguing, they can help you get apart. That's how it's designed. So because of that, the way the quote unquote marriage laws work, it gives too much power to one side. Way too much power. So when somebody's mad at you and you put it on the side that person that is winning rich, she mad, she can go away, and then you get somebody telling her the right stuff. You right, and boom, she's not listening to you. She don't talk to you no more, and you sitting here like, wait a minute, what the hell happened? Like you trying to figure this out, but it's too late. It's too late. Like there's a lot of guys that's so afraid of divorce.
But you know what? I still feel like divorce should be an even playing field. I feel like if a woman can do all of that stuff, a man should not be afraid. Because guess what? He could do the same things. If you feel like, hey, you're in this marriage and it's not working, why would you stay in something that you're unhappy and miserable in? I'm not
Good
saying
question.
I'm not saying just I'm not supporting divorce just because. But if you're telling me this woman's abusive and argumentative, and all of the other things that factor to going in that direction, I'm not going to hold you to it. Maybe y'all are better co-parenting than you are together. Because guess what? The kids see that too. They see the toxicity in the household. So I'm not going to tell you to stay if it's a toxic environment. Just like if you were working a job, I'm not telling anybody to stay in a toxic work environment.
That's true.
Because there are laws and rules put in place when it's your workplace. So why can't the same laws be applied to a person's marriage? If you get to
I
that
agree with
point,
you.
you got to go. But I'm also not telling you to just give up. I'm going to tell you to go to counseling and do whatever else you need to do before you get to the extreme. But at that point, it's like, yo, we exhausted every method possible. Before
That's
we said,
the
okay,
only
that's what it is.
purpose when it comes to divorce. Some people, especially in this generation, it's like first option, where either it shouldn't be an option or it's a complete last resort. You've exhausted everything, trial separation, everything. But in this generation, that's not the case. It's like, oh, you hit a little bit of opposition. Oh, I want out. Like it's ridiculous. I want to point out the area of the incentive, because we're in the era of the alien woman now. That's what I call it. These new things coming out now, it makes it really very difficult for a real woman, I will say, and for a real man, because they make it look bad for real women and for marriage.
Right.
And for real men, they have no incentive when there's her nasty attitude. She's so self-indulgent. Everything is about her. She's very selfish and very materialistic, and then has the nerve to possibly have a child.
Yeah.
But let's say if she doesn't, for the sake of conversation, the woman of today make it very difficult for a man to want to bring her on as his wife, which is why I brought up all the other cultures, because it's very much so in Western culture here compared to other cultures, even in this country. But I'm talking about women that are born of the United States of America in this Northern hemisphere here in the country versus women from other cultures. I'm going to point out, I'm going to make it the point that it's very frustrating and difficult, because what's this incentive? So now it's, I mean, more, it might look more appealing for the man to go, or for him not to get involved with her, which makes her that single mother for the most part. I'm not talking about some catastrophic situation. I'm just talking about how people choose who you picked. And now there you are, another single mother, and it's a vicious cycle. It has to start with women being checked. It has to start with someone wanting to learn so that they could have something to offer to a family other than herself and her Instagram pics.
Oh my God, yes. Yes. And I think a lot of women do not get that. They don't understand that what the man is trying to say. He's not. I know men who tried everything they could to work it out with their baby mama. They did everything they could, close to even becoming submissive to her just to be in the kid's life. And it got to a point where they couldn't handle it no more. It will never stop. So it's like he gave up, And do I condone that? No, but that's painful, man. Y'all don't that and they know it. That's the crazy part. It's painful and they know it. They know it's painful. Like, I'm trying to see my seed. You know how I feel about it. And you just make every ounce of it difficult. Joker on Rumble says some women don't want to make it work. Correct.
Which is
Absolutely
true.
right, Joker. And
But
that's the crazy part. It's like they don't want to make it work. They want this fight. And the government know it. So it's like, that's a lot of money. So how can we make money off of this? And I can't get mad at them. They leverage everything they possibly can. They just do. That's what they do. That's their thing.
But
They'll figure out any way to leverage whatever they can. Oh, that's juicy. The numbers say that this is what we get every time we do this.
But think about it, though. A lot of times when people are in those fights, a lot of times they don't even know what they're fighting for, because obviously it's not the kid. It's not. They just fighting to fight.
Yes.
And that doesn't always make sense either, because guess what? You fighting him for what? If he coming over going, hey, let me spend some time, guess what? They give you a break, because I guarantee you the same person that's over there fussing going, I got my kid all the time, I ain't got no energy. It's the same person. So if it's the same person fussing if they don't have time to do anything, when you clearly have somebody in your corner trying to help you, that is a problem. But that's why I also tell guys, hey, y'all could go to court. You go to court if you really want to. Yes, it's going to be hoops and bounds and jumping through some hoops for you to do it, but you could go to court and get the same privileges that these women get in court, because all you have to do is talk and ask questions. Now, the problem is, do people want to always do that? No, because if it was that serious, you would go and put the paperwork in, talk to the right people, because half of the times the judge be looking going, oh, you showed up. Okay. Let me tell you what you need to do then, because they're so used to not seeing the guys show up. And I tell anybody, it's going to be hard, but guess what? You ask the right questions to the right people, they will tell you what paperwork to go fill out. You might have to go to the court 3 and 4 times over, but you start asking open-ended questions, I guarantee you're going to get them answers. You go online and start Googling it. You got enough men who got pages and pages, YouTubes, and everything else under the sun that tell guys how to get parental rights. I researched it a little bit one time, and I think I even figured out how somebody could petition the court to get their name put on a birth certificate, because the woman chose not to. He was right there. She caught an attitude with him in the hospital and decided, I'm just not going to let you sign it.
So Arco says, hey guys and all, it has to be about the kids. The kids didn't ask to be for the bad parents. You're right. And you're going to always have this. We're going to always have the same argument, right? But the way it's set up is it allows them to use the kids as a weapon. You know what I mean? Like they can use the kids as a weapon. And there are many times where we're just like, I don't know how to break that chain. I don't know how. I mean, I just kept saying till death do us part. Whatever happens in this relationship, we're gonna have to work it out. But don't think for 1 second you're gonna go unpunished. I'm not gonna give you the best of me and you acting ragged. Why would I do that? I gotta preserve myself. Sooner or later, I'm gonna have to start focusing on me because I can't talk to you anymore. What I'm gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I want to be in my kid's life, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but I'm gonna do it under the table. Look, all right, hey David, come on and talk to you about this and whatever. Don't tell your mama that I said you this. You know what I'm saying? And we've done this for all. So don't tell your mother I told you this, but this is what you need to do. There are certain things we have to give to our sons that we can't let y'all see.
But I get that though, because as a woman, I can't raise a son by myself. I
Yes, but you
I
got to
look at
give
the
me
world
you got
different.
to give me a help. You got to give me the opportunity to raise my kids. You can't be
Correct.
on top of me and all this stuff because you don't agree. I don't care if you don't agree. There's a life that you don't see.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. The agreements doesn't even matter at this point. It's a woman is never going to know what a man goes through. I could ask you all the right questions. You could tell me, but I will never experience it through your
Which
eyes.
is why, for the same reason why we will never understand what a woman goes through. We just take your word for it.
Correct.
That's the problem. We take y'all word for it. And when we start seeing y'all lying, whoa, we took y'all word for it. We all believe all women. We did that and found out that how many of you was actually lying about this? Why would I can't believe you anymore. You lied. A lot.
Correct. But the problem is it goes on both sides though. And that's the disconnect, especially in the black community. We don't trust each other. So if we don't trust each other, how are we supposed to raise these kids to start trusting if we don't trust each other ourselves? All you can do is try to trust one person, and then you might be on pins and needles going, hey, when is the facade gonna go away? When the other shoe gonna drop? Because guess what? Especially if you're coming from a broken home yourself, you think
Mhm.
like that. You
That's right.
do because you didn't see the other aspects of having that person in the house. So how do you rebound that? You got a whole group of women who did not have a father figure or a male figure in their lives.
Talk
And then
slow.
they got a whole then they went and, for lack of a better word, they went and had more kids.
Because that's what they
Yep.
had to do.
That is what they saw, and they're
And
raising them
repeated
the
the
way
same
they
thing.
saw. So you
Cycle.
repeated that
Mhm.
same cycle. That's like the ones who, I watched the shows, the 16 and Pregnant show. Remember, I told you on one of the episodes, you have 4 generations of women who had kids before they were 25,
And that's how
4 generations of
happens.
women in the house. Guess what? Out of the one, I think you had 2 of them who decided they was getting out of the environment that they were in.
Oh my God, Mala Jess. I'm sorry, Erica, but Mala Jess,
Yeah.
you done
Not
what?
Mal. You
I mean,
looking at Mal.
sorry,
Go ahead.
Mal's opinion. Damn it, I've been I was good. I've
So
been
Mal,
good.
we put it
No,
out there.
I miss him. I was good. I was good up to a certain point. I was calling you Mattis for a long time when the Mala Jessica came out. That was
Well,
my
you
dude.
know
I miss
what?
him.
It was the way the words came out. Watch. Go ahead. Put
Yeah,
it up there.
but hold
Because
on
it
now.
probably was something that Mal was going to say too.
Yo, Mattis hit hard. He was like, "Listen, the finances has nothing to do with it. It's all about trust."
Yeah, I never said it was a
And I
financial
will
thing.
100% agree
Oh, of
because my
course.
wife and I never had the finances to trust each other. We just figured it out. Trust me, we did not have it. I tried getting it, a lot of it, and I thought I was balling at one point. You know what I'm saying? Until I realized, oh wait, 20% on 25,000. I got 3,000. That means I'm hurting right about now. Really, we really think about it. I'm negative 1,000, so I got to get up to 1,000. And you get to the 1,000. Oh, I'm living large. You know what I'm saying? Let's charge some more shit up, and because I want to live life now. I'm balling right. No, you're not. No.
Mm-mm.
But you don't know that financially. You don't know that. But when you
Well,
have a woman that's on your side, yeah, that don't know it either, and she's saying, "All right, well, let's try again," you get there.
and that's what I was gonna say too. It really depends. Like I had just realized recently, like schools don't teach financial literacy in
We
most
always say
schools.
life skills. They don't.
So they don't
No.
teach the life skills. Like there's not too many schools that do that. And
That is so true.
on my end, I started in banking early. Like I worked in a bank when I was 19. So a lot of this stuff, I got that literacy early on. But I also had parents who taught me that literacy early on because I started working at 14. My dad looked at
Yeah.
me was like, yo, you going to work? You ain't spending up your whole paycheck. You're going to put half of it in
Right.
the bank for a rainy day and you can spend this other half. But don't go ahead and go spend all you got and think you're going to come to mom and dad to come bail you out. So it's like, okay, you start budgeting, you start planning. I learned that stuff early on. But most kids don't go get that summer job at 14. It depends. 14 some
Yeah.
people, 16 others. But if you don't have parents that help do that kind of stuff, the kid ain't gonna learn either. So your parents not
Right.
teach you at home, your school ain't teach you in school, and then you had a whole slew of people. I remember I worked in the credit card division, and it was those ambassador credit cards for colleges.
Oh,
I
boy.
remember college kids were racking up 20 to 50K
Yeah.
in a 2-year period because guess
Yep.
what? You were going to a big name school that had a big name affinity to it. And it was like, hey, you want this credit card for this free t-shirt? You want this credit card for this school swag? Because guess what? I was in that era before they started coming in with the big print on the back of the credit card
Yeah.
statement. Now you go look at them offers, you look at the paper now, the interest rate is big, bright, and bold on that front page.
Mhm.
Why? Because you had too many people that didn't have the financial literacy. And then they decided, hey, I'm finished school. I'm trying to live life. I'm trying to go get this first apartment or this first car and realize they 50K in debt and can't afford nothing.
Yeah. They were handing them out like flapjacks as soon as you turn a certain age, 18, or depending on what part of the country you live in. But you turn a certain age and there is every credit card offer ever.
Yes.
Correct.
Because we could talk all day about that this country runs on debt.
But think
That's
about
just,
it, though.
the name of the game.
If you don't have that literacy, what are you going to do? You're going to use
You
it.
want to screw
Right.
it up.
Especially in the community.
Instead of going,
Using it
Black
hey,
properly.
maybe I'll get it for a rainy day. Most people
Mhm.
don't even realize
Emergencies
they're supposed
only.
to keep less than 30% on a credit card at any given
Right.
time because it affects their credit score. But guess
Yeah.
what? That's part of that same group of people that don't know. They're not teaching. That's one of those life skills that you're like, okay, so you went to school, possibly. Did you finish? Yes or no? Possibly. Did you, like you said, that entry level job? 18, I'm gonna say 18 to 30K. I got a little different because if you entry level with a college degree, you probably starting out in
Yeah.
that 30
It's
to
different when you
35
have a
range.
college degree. I'm talking about the
Correct.
ones that didn't even go to community college. Just
But
got out of school, didn't go into the service, needed a job, and no skills.
but think about it now. When you start talking to those, it's like, okay, I don't care if you don't go to school. How about we go get a trade? How
Yeah.
about you do
Trade
something?
school is
You
everything.
go do a 6
Love
month
trade
to a year
school.
program.
Yeah.
Guess what? It just changed your
Love
life.
trade school.
I'm not going to the military, but I got friends who went, hey, trade school didn't work,
Mhm.
college didn't work,
Mhm.
military was what it was. It's gonna pay you a living wage. You might have to live on the barracks for a few years, just to get
Yeah.
financially secure.
So
But
it's not as tight.
but it's at least not as tight, like you said. So I'm like,
I
those
think-
are things that you have to look at. We have to do better as parents for that next generation because guess what? I know my generation is the one breeding these kids now. So you gonna have to do something.
Yeah. I want to
And
get to what.
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was done.
To what Matter said about trust, because like you just said, it's the ones that from the 70s, 80s generation who have kids, or maybe the 60s, let's put it there. And then, right, it is a trust issue. So then they're creating the breeds of these things running out here now,
Yeah.
and did not have that conversation, tried to teach them, and now are combating every type of social media, every type of, pop culture issue versus what we say at home. And then what you say at home, like you just said, there's so many examples of that in the same household, 2 and 3 and 4 generation of single mothers in the same house. And then they go tell their girls, Now go ahead and get your stuff downtown. Go get your services instead of cracking the whip if that's the case, or putting the law down like, no, we're not doing that up in here. This is what you need to do. How about this? Accountability. Don't be like me. Don't be like grandma. I'm going to teach you how not to pick how I did. I'm going to teach you how to not be like me so that you don't attract that thing that you don't trust. It's like nobody wants to have the hard conversation.
Yeah.
And tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It was me. Or it was, Pop, and he tried to stay around and I was mad and felt some kind of way. So I kept him out of your life. And here comes these girls, 19, 20, 21, 23. Like, where is dad?
Oh my gosh.
And then, they found out later, I'm mad at dad all of these years when I should have been mad with you.
Yep.
It happens in our community way too much. And then have the conversation. Let them know what the real deal is so that you can learn what to look out for, how to carry yourself to attract that so you can get to learn to trust somebody instead of what they're doing now. Hot girl summer, everything on your page is you. These girls are so self-absorbed and it's not even funny, like, honestly. And even the guys, the boys, like, they're being raised in a single parent household with mom for the most part. So then, like Scheherazade Ali said, they have these feminine traits. They don't know how to stand up to authority because they're always dealing with a masculine woman and don't know what it looks like to have a masculine real man in their life. So they cower to these girls that's coming out now instead of saying, no, that's not what a man's supposed to do and be, because they don't have no example of that.
Yep.
And that's the issue.
A lot of times these men, they take on these archetypes because that's the only way they can see out getting out. I'm a high value male. I'm an alpha. I'm this and I'm that. A lot of people take that on very, very young because they're afraid. They don't know how to explain that's what they're doing. They don't even know. They don't know what that is. They never had experience with a father, daddy figure saying, this is what you're going through. So they don't really know how to work with those emotions because there's people that's not there to teach them how to work with those emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say your child has an outburst, right? And they're having a temper tantrum or whatever. You know how hard it is to get mama to tell me what to do at the age of 16, and I got a temper tantrum. I know, mom, man, I'm just frustrated. I keep telling you to stop hitting that because you're mad. That's the best she can do. A dad look at you and say, "What's wrong?"
Well, and that's what I was
You
going to
sure?
say.
Because I thought something was wrong, and I was going to fix it. So you good, right? Yeah, I'm good. All right. No more need to say, because at this point, it's like, if I see that again, I'm gonna work you out, because I'm noticing that you're not listening to your mother.
But think about it.
And that right there is that's the correction. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there's somebody bigger than me. Let me just stop.
But think about in them single family homes, though. If you don't have somebody being able to do that, it's mom is going to go, what's wrong with you? And the next thing she trying to fix it. Well, guess what? You can't fix it if you don't know how to deal with it. You'll never be able to deal with it the way a dad would be able to deal with it. You won't, because it's going to be man up. And it's like, oh, you telling me to man up and I don't have a man in my house. You telling me to go sit down and be quiet. Now you didn't quiet anything that I'm trying to say to you. Or you looking like, oh, you're throwing a whole nother tantrum. Like, there's too much back and forth when it's only a single. Now, granted, you have some people that are single by default. I'm not blaming, a spouse passing or anything like that on single by default. I'm saying the ones that chose this life for themselves.
Right. That's the difference.
Chose the harder way to go. And because you chose that for yourself, you don't know what you're going to do with that kid.
Now,
you don't.
Question. Is it that they chose that way, but because they wanted to go that route, or that's the best route they thought they can go? Because some people are calculating, but they're calculating, their math is off.
Well,
because
see,
of their vantage point, right? You got so many people when their vantage point is limited, they don't see no other way out. You know what I'm saying? Like when they're watching television and all they see is people that don't look like them, and you don't see nobody that look like you winning. And the only time you see somebody like you winning is in your neighborhood, and
see,
person in that neighborhood is winning on false pretense. Because
but
you don't got you don't have the formula that mom got. You don't got that formula.
correct. But think about it. You at any given point, you see people leaving the situations that they're in. So I'm not always going to blame it on their calculation because guess what? Your calculation is your calculation. I'm not saying you messed up, but if you're actively dating somebody, right? And what did we say dating was? Dating was the premises to lead to marriage, correct? That means, are you vetting the people correctly? Are you attracted to a certain type of person? Because sometimes you get people who that put themselves in the same circumstance every single time because they're looking at the features instead of, can I trust you? Do we work well together on like they don't start looking at those other aspects of what that relationship entails. And
Look at
so,
what my look. Wait, whoa,
go
whoa,
ahead.
whoa!
Read
Look at
that.
what
Yeah, that
Tanya
looked good
said.
right there. Read that.
You can't. So yeah, go ahead, Toya.
You can't read. You can't solve a math.
For real?
I can't
Oh,
right
so
now.
that's what you guys how you feel about me? That's cool. Good.
You can't solve a math equation to get the right answer if you are lied to about what the numbers were. You made the one where you had to work with. And that is what I see there. Lots could have made a good choice. Had they the other part of there, had they had good information and data to make their choices on.
And you know what? I love what you said, sir, because you are absolutely positively right.
Yeah.
I made choices based off of the data that I had. That's exactly what happened to me. They said this credit card is great. 20% interest is great. They said this is a great way to do it. This is how you do it. Other OPM, other people's money. You know what I'm saying? I read the hell out of that book. And I did exactly what that big book told me to do to get out of the system. Right? I didn't know that 7 years later they were going to be this type of crisis where I lose my job, and then I started the system over again. I didn't know 7 years after that there's going to be another crisis where I lost my job, and then I said I'm gonna start it over again. I didn't know that 7 years it was simple. Every 7 years this crap happened, and I'm like, what the hell is this all about? So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. That's when I started to look, but. How can you tell that you're doing the wrong thing when everything's working up until 7 years? You're not paying attention until you see the pattern. You don't
But
see the pattern until like, oh, wait a minute. Every 7 years, cars break down. Why is that? And then you realize there's built-in obsolescence, and you're like, wait a minute, but I'm stuck now. I need a car because this car is about to break down. I'm seeing the engine light go on. What's going on? And you by the time you realize you're in a cycle because these cars are built to last. No, they're not. They're not built to last. You know what I'm saying? That's foolish, but you don't know that. You know what I mean?
but
You
think
don't
about it.
know that there's certain maintenance that you're supposed to do that's calculated, and that costs a lot of money to keep it to last the way it lasts. And you just driving it to drive it. It's crazy.
But and that's what I was gonna say though. You have to think about it. People, I'm gonna keep on your car scenario, right? Think about it. If you got the car I'm gonna say every 5,000 miles, you're supposed to take it in to go get it checked, tires rotated, everything else. Well, guess what? When people are in relationships, they don't do that either. The communication starts breaking down. You're talking,
Ooh.
think about it. It does. It's like, hey, I got you, we home. We got lives because you got all of the other factors that got thrown into it.
Ooh.
So now it's like, hey, you broke down on your side, but you're not communicating. I'm broke down on my side and I'm not communicating. What are you going to do? You either going to not communicate and stay together, or you're going to start communicating because guess what? Once them kids is gone, what's keeping you? The kids don't always keep people at this point. So now it's like, okay, I fell in love with you because there was a reason. Maybe now we need to start figuring out how do we keep that? Because think about it. If you're with somebody long enough to have a kid, That meant at one point or another, I either liked you or I screwed you. Like there's no in between. It's we liked each other or we hate each other, but we screwed each other. Like you got to pick how that relationship goes. That relationship is based off of that calculation. When you start looking at, hey, I'm with this person 3 years, 5 years, and then the kid comes, that's one thing. But what happens in the case where I'm with you 30 to 90 days and then we pop up pregnant? We don't even
Yep.
know each other. So because we don't know each other,
That's the
guess
point
what?
about the responsibility. All of that.
Yes.
Correct. Because that's what I was going to say too. That plays a factor into some of these. Hey, I'm a single parent by myself because I didn't know who I was dealing with from the beginning. I was still paying attention to the ambassador. That meant you chose that life. And the only reason I'm saying you chose that life because you didn't vet them long enough. You didn't go say, hey, who your mama and daddy? Oh, okay. What kind of upbringing did you have? Do we believe in the same kind of upbringing, the same kind of beliefs? You don't know. Hey, how many
Right.
kids do you really want? You want a whole football team or you want one and done? Because those are conversations that people have the longer you know them. If all you doing is, hey, I'm picking you up and I'm screwing you, what do you think you're going to have? You're going to have a displaced family that could be one of two ways. That could be, hey, the guy's eyes open up going, you know what? I messed up. Come on, we're going to do this together. Or that
Right.
is his, I got an out. You chose to do what you do. I chose to do what I do. But guess what? The mom, a lot of times, is going to be the responsible party because you the one that got to grow this baby.
Right.
You can't run out on a baby that's growing in you.
Right. That's the whole point. If that's what you're going to do, and it's your hot girl summer, living your best life, I'm not saying do it. I'm not saying, you know, that there aren't more psychological and emotional repercussions that are years down the line. But at least for the sake of yourself, that baby, and the rest of us in this country, could you just at least be responsible in that? Until you finish vetting him while you learning yourself out here in your hot girl summer. That's the point.
Right.
Because I mean, I don't like to say that like that I was just saying mama's baby, daddy's maybe, you know, throughout the generations, it's that thing. But yes, at the end of the day, it will not happen unless we're okay with it. It's our decision at the end of the day. And it's not even this woman lib, and then I'm not talking about that because the wrong people got their hands with the pen. I'm not talking about that and what they put into, you know, legislation and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it is up to us. So at least if you know you going out and you in the whole phase, I'm gonna put it like that, because that's what these girls need to hear.
Yeah.
This what you feel like doing. Until you don't feel like doing that, hey, let's handle that like a woman since you up here doing woman things.
Right. Tell them, like, look, these are your responsibilities. This is what's going to happen if you mess up. And we going to be there for the first one, or maybe the second one. But by the third one, you on your own. We can't do this with you no more. If you can't learn your lesson, that's on you. I don't know what to tell you.
Because this is not a oops.
And I'm not doing that drop off baby either.
No.
You made that baby. You trying to go to that party? You didn't give me enough heads up going, hey Ma, can you walk?
No.
Nah, I'm not making your life easier.
No, it's not about that.
I'm not gonna try to make it harder either, but you gonna learn.
You're gonna deal with the repercussion of that. It's not all about you no more. That's over. It's no more you do what you want. And I don't want to say like the oops, things happen. You know, you were young, things happen. I'm not saying they don't.
Oops is a one-time off though. Oops are one-times off.
Right.
Oops are not
you going into the second and third,
no.
Right.
You got two at the same time. I might give you a oops. You got some twins, some triplets.
What I said is you got a oops, right? So I give you the oops because
other than that, that's a habit.
Listen, you trying it out, you know. Well, how do you do this and how you do that? And I was taking the drugs that they told me to take, and it didn't work because I took some goofy stuff, whatever, what have you. All right, cool. I respect that excuse, but now you need to be even more, you know. Listen, get on your stuff because you don't get a third one. Right, so you get the first one. I'll probably gift you the second one if you can prove that you've been on top of it. but there ain't no third one. And listen, Arco said, thanks all. I enjoy these conversations, and we do too. And it's because of you and viewers like you that make it possible that we can have these conversations.
Thank you
I
so
truly
much.
appreciate every one of you that do donate to the channel. But yes, I think a lot of people really do need a kick in the ass. Sorry. It's at a point where it's like I get messing up, but it's doable. You know what I'm saying? It's doable. There's so many people that do it, and it's like you don't have to be on. If you want to play your game, play your game. Do what you got to do. I'm not truly thrilled with it. What am I supposed to do? I can't tell you what to do with your life because you cannot tell me what to do with mine. And I'm like, okay, cool. But your life is now interfering with mine because you're trying to take money out of my pocket that I don't like that you taking out of my pocket because you can't say no. Nah, we done gave you. We listen. I done spent all kinds of money so you can be a monkey. You understand? Go ahead and enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Monkey out, just monk whatever. But don't come to me with some BS that, well, the only reason why I got it is because this dude decided to do this and stuff. And I'm like, you got a lot of stuff that you could have done to prevent that. And she's like, well, I know, but I don't like how it makes me feel and all this other stuff. Come on now.
Well,
I don't want to hear
you
that.
signed up for that life then. That
I
meant
don't
you
want to hear
signed
that.
up to be that parent. That meant you signed up to figure out how you're going to make ends meet. Because guess what? When I had you, we had to figure that out. I
Mhm.
had that learning curve. I had a couple of times that I could call and ask some questions like, hey, how do I do X, Y, and Z? Or
Yeah.
because I want to use my resources. I'm going to tell you to use your resources as much as you can. But what
Right.
you're not going to do is abuse your resources, because that's why I chose to have children later on in life. I
Mm.
knew I wasn't ready at 19 and 20. That wasn't what I was looking at, because I was about them books at 19 and 20.
Right.
Now, my parents, on the other hand, they were a little different. But
That's generationally
but I was
too.
going to say that was also a generational thing too. It was generationally normal for people to have husbands and wives at 18 and 19 years old 40 years ago. It was generational for 40 years before then for them to be married at 14 and 15. Because guess what? The life expectancy was shorter back then.
Matter said makes mistakes do happen, but when you think about when you're talking about a two or third, nah, that's by design. What are your thoughts?
That is,
Yeah, I
because
replied.
think
I
about it.
agree. That's a pattern.
Well, yeah,
Mm,
hands down, it is a pattern. That meant when you messed up the first time, you knew what the consequences were. That meant when
mm-hmm,
you went out there again, you
mm-hmm,
knew, and it's not always with the same person. Sometimes it could be with somebody else. You're like, hey, I fell in love. Okay. But if you using the same recipe, or we gonna say recipe right now because I lost my words. But if
mm-hmm,
you using the same recipe that you had the first time, do you really
mm-hmm.
think you gonna change up the scenario?
Right.
Because it don't
That's the
always
thing.
change.
Yes.
So, and I think that's the case too. You have singles, and I'm not saying moms or dads because it happens on both sides. You have
Right.
singles where you repeat the same pattern 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and then you get to baby number 7 and you're like, "You know what? I want to do better." Why should I be accepted for you trying to
Right.
do better after you done had 7 other kids out in the street?
That's true.
But then you gonna pick the one who don't have the kids, who who you're like, "Oh, well, this circumstance right here is a little touchy. Baby mama number 1, 2, and 3 ain't gonna communicate with you at all. So even if we do have a marriage and a kid, they ain't gonna look at you. They ain't talking to you. It ain't gonna be nothing. And then you got 3, 4, and 5. Like, oh, well, how long ago was this kid? Because think about it. You see it every day on TikTok and Instagram. Matter of fact, look at Love and Hip Hop. You had, what's his name? Lil Jock. Got all them baby.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he had a wife in the beginning. He had a wife first, divorced the wife, had a whole slew of baby mamas, and then you get married this last time. He blatantly said, I don't want no kids. And you popped up with a oops baby on her too.
Mm.
Because she knew about it, but I think the storyline was she didn't know about it. Some foolery.
See,
But
that's the issue too. A lot of guys thinking one thing or call himself trusting her or whatever.
Yeah.
And oh, I didn't
Oopsies.
know.
Oh.
Oh, It's called take responsibility
I didn't
now.
know.
These days, oh no.
Like the whole, you know what I'm saying? I don't even think I can get pregnant.
Oh no, we going to the doctor together. We gonna go to the, and I need to see the paperwork.
yeah, but sometimes that'd be a lot too.
No,
Some people
most
be-
of the time is a lot. No,
No,
most
no.
of it is-
Meaning the doctors will tell people they can't handle kids, and then they pop up 40 years old pregnant.
And
You'll be like,
and this is
Really?
my
where that come
thing.
from?
Protect yourself till you know this stranger. Because at least the first 3 years is their stranger. They're showing you their representative.
Yeah.
So protect yourself. To men, I'm talking about men too.
Mhm.
Young men, middle-aged men. With these things that's out here today, protect yourself, sir.
Yeah.
Wait a second. You mean the old ones getting into these situations too? It's all men. Because think
Yeah.
about it. A man can procreate until they 80,
Way
90 years
past
old.
60.
Yeah, that is true.
So think about it. If you got a little bit of dollars, the older you get, some of them start getting younger and younger. So
That's true.
no, them women be out there, they be plotting. You be
Yep.
like, Grandpa sitting in a wheelchair? What kind? Let me look at what kind of area Grandpa live in. Grandpa, you got some money? Okay, I might want to talk. Like, come on. It's always the case. But for me, it's you have to communicate. That's the biggest thing. It's communication.
Just communicate it.
That's where
Because the more you
loss
vet
is.
these people and the more you ask questions and you don't let up, either they gonna let one of them bones fall out their mouth,
Mm-hmm.
or they gonna have enough of you harassing them every time y'all get together. This is an interview. Every time we together, we talking on the phone. Oh, you asked me about that. Oh yeah, repeat it again. Make sure that you ain't a liar. Change up your story every time we talk.
Yeah.
You have to vet them.
Yeah.
This is not funny these days. It's dangerous out
but you
here.
also got to be wise about it. You can't be like so direct. Too many people are direct. They way too direct in this.
No, I'm
shit.
saying it now while we're talking.
Oh,
but
'cause the
while
way you
you're
say it
having a
is like,
conversation.
no. Do you have one?
No, not
How
that.
many kids you got, and the one on the way count.
Yeah, but you know what? Some people do that though. Like I can
'Cause they
remember
have
dating
to.
early on. They do not always give you the information up front. They like, hey, maybe if I string her along a little bit, that stuff always come out. It's gonna come out eventually. I done went to
Now,
grandma
here's the thing.
cookout and grandma done told on all your business.
Yep.
I think a lot of women understand that, and by the time they put you through that scrutinized that test, they really do like you, and they saying, "Look, I didn't like the person before. I'm just gonna go ahead," and you just like, "Yo, ma, I got you. All right, this is what I'm at. This is my resume, but I got something for you too. Good, because I'm ready. What do you want? Please, you qualify. What do you want? You know what I'm saying? Like now I'm interested in negotiating, and I think because it is a negotiation. Because if I'm going to let the walls down on my heart, I'm going to make sure that the person I'm letting in ain't on some dumb shit. I'm just not.
Correct.
This is what I'm going to do.
You gotta be.
Because I'm not trying to get hurt
long
up out there. It's hard as hell to keep moving. You know these they believe they still want you to work like you ain't had your heart broke. You supposed to still sell at the top of your game, and you sitting here like, if you want to buy the car at this. I'm sorry. I just remember.
I'm only laughing.
It was the first car I ever sold, and I told my baby, and she was so happy. We got a picture of like, there she go. They don't
I'm
give you
only
no
laughing
chance for
because-
that.
But that is true on both sides, though. It's like
Mhm.
you have both parties doing the same thing, and it's like we don't know how y'all going to react to it. You don't. You be like, "Yo, she a little crazy," but
Yeah.
I think I like that look because think about it. It's like how much are you really trying to get them off the bat? You trying to
That's
give
true.
them enough information for them to keep coming back. If I give you the information too fast, you'd be like, "I ain't coming back." But if
That's
you give
true.
them just enough, you'd be like, "Okay, gonna touch and feel our way through this." But then
That's
on the
true.
flip side, it's like, hey, the world we in now, you want that instant right away. Everybody's so used to grabbing the information. It's like, okay, well, what if I met this person off a dating site? You'd put all your info right there. I done deep
That's
dive
true.
to social media and think about it. I told y'all my background in banking. I might have skip traced you a time or two because guess what? I don't trust nobody. When you
Right.
I'm like
in
that
banking
too.
off, I'm gonna have to go deep dive. I'm about to, because look, I'm gonna make sure that I got at least your first and your last name, and at least maybe the state you in. Because remember, people move around too. So I'm gonna start. Oh, you was born here? Oh, okay. About weirdo part. Because think about it, those are all things part of that. You want to ask them questions, but you don't want them being on the interview. You don't want to get too much too fast. But it's like, all right, I'm gonna start. You'll be like, Dad, she didn't put a whole book together. Because think about it. If I'm trying to date with a purpose, I
Thank
need
you,
to.
Michael.
Oh, okay. But like if I'm dating with a purpose, it's like, hey, those are all things because I want to make sure that equation that I'm trying to figure out in my head going to line up a little bit. I'm not always going to have the complete answer, and I know I'm not going to have the complete answer. But my thing is, I want it to be actively my choice. I don't want it to be something that I was thrown into, and it's like, hey, you either sink or you swim, because that's realistically what happens when you have people that jump off the cliff and have babies first. You don't know if you're going to work out or not.
That's
But at
true.
least if I try to break the cycle a little bit, we gonna start going on. What is it? One of the movies, 51st Date. Maybe we need to go on 51st Date first. Maybe
And that's what
I'm like. People need that though.
Now this is where we're gonna have to end it because we're gonna have to take this to another show because we're absolutely right. We get you. We're gonna have to take accountability. Right? We're going to have to make sure that we do not keep playing this ridiculous game because it's not working. But we have to warn people too. Like we can't just, hold on to this information and just expect them to find it. We got to find a way to get them talking. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to go and talk about like, girl, she ain't right, but listen, you might not be right either. But I got to agree with you in the beginning because you know how that is. Because those women crazy. I know they crazy because you crazy too. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be crazy around your ass too. I'll be very crazy. But how do you tell that person that when they mad at this person, they don't want to see themselves? Hey, come over here with your crazy ass. Yeah, that crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's real crazy to do that kind of stuff, ain't it? It's real crazy. You do that too, right? Even though it's crazy, you do that shit. You know that? Yeah, you do that.
Because
guess what?
everybody got a little crazy.
I do that shit too. There you go. I do it
Yes.
too. We screwed the fuck up. So let's not listen. That's the reason why down here at the South, we respectful enjoying our numbers and rates because a lot of liberals say, well, the highest gun stuff that happens with people and discharging and things happens in the red states more. Exactly. That's the point. That's the damn point. Don't come fucking with us. That's it. Just don't. No. I will let this shit go to court. Because I believe I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'll go to jail. I'm okay with that. But no. If the Supreme Court say I gotta go to jail, well, you guys, just make sure you don't do what I did, but I did what I thought was right, and I was wrong about it. But I'm rather deal with that than me be gone because of some stuff. Hold up, no, constitutional, no, republic. I'll blow you. And this is what we want down here. But listen, I sure enjoyed everybody. Hope everybody enjoyed the live. Wally, listen, love you, brother. I know you frustrated and irritated, but you know what? We're gonna get you home. I'm not gonna get you home because I ain't flying nothing. But they gonna get you home. You're gonna be happy.
Prayers
everywhere. And everybody that's
once you
in
say
the chat. Go ahead. Everybody in the chat, prayers go out to everybody in chat. We love you. This is the end. This is Gary. I'm signing off. Erica from Matters of Opinion and the lovely Lady Lamb.
Bye, y'all.
let you know